Okay, let's bring in a guest now. Hatem Bazian joins me on the line. He's a professor of Middle Eastern cultures and languages at the University of California, Berkeley. Welcome, Hatem. Looking at these latest strikes, they come just a few hours after there was a phone call between President Biden and Prime Minister Netanyahu. Biden warning, urging, can we say, Netanyahu to secure safe passage for civilians before carrying out aggression in Rafah. Why do you think that Netanyahu seems to be ignoring those warnings?
Well, I'm not sure that these are warnings versus maybe Biden trying to cover his base by saying that he is urging Netanyahu to be cautious, to adhere to international law, and to find ways for the civilian population to be evacuated. Which raises the question if it's 1.4 million that already have been pushed from other parts of Gaza into the Rafah area, where should the population go? If it is to Khan Yunis, we already heard that there are some intense fighting taking place in Khan Yunis. If it's in the north, there is no services whatsoever. It's almost 70% of all the infrastructure has been demolished. There is no hospitals, no food, no water. And also the notion of possibly to push them out to Egypt. And we know that Egypt, rightly so, said that they are not to cooperate with the second Nakba, which would be really pushing 1.4 million Palestinians out. This is where Israel is continuing to engage in bombardment, in attack, in degrading the civilian infrastructure all over Gaza. 32 hospitals are already out of commission. About 1,000 mosques have been completely demolished and blown up. The 14 universities completely also blown up. So literally what we see is the whole infrastructure of the Gaza Strip have been completely set to waste. So I think Biden literally is acting almost irresponsibly by not immediately calling for a ceasefire and also for immediate unrestrained access to humanitarian aid to enter into Gaza. I know that Biden administration said they're giving Israel 45 days. 45 days, that will be almost giving a total green line with what you call a very minor cautionary statement rather than a forceful statement that we possibly would have seen in other circumstances.
As you mentioned, an estimated 1.4 million people in the south of Gaza, specifically in Rafah now. Now, everybody understands, including Israel, I think it's pretty clear to say that they are not all Hamas combatants. Given that they must understand that, why do you think Israel isn't doing more? I don't know how much it is actually doing, but it doesn't seem to be much, to provide some kind of aid to ease the horrific humanitarian conditions that reportedly people there are living in.
If I could take you back to October 8th, the day after the October 7th attack, Israeli leadership said there is no innocent civilian in Gaza. That they use the reference of Gazans being animals or the Palestinians being animals, that they need to be wiped out, they need to flatten Gaza. So I'm not surprised of their conduct. It's actually in line with what they said. When the Israeli leadership states their position, we should believe them, that they have complete total disregard for the Palestinian population. They cut food, medicine, water, attacked hospitals, and completely demolished the civilian infrastructure, housing. You could say that Gaza now stands up as the most severely bombed area in the 20th and 21st century. This is far more destruction than World War I, World War II, even Hiroshima and Nagasaki that have faced the nuclear bombing. So I would say that Netanyahu, his defense minister, his war cabinet have been consistent that they said what they are going to do, and they are doing exactly, knowing that the Western world is actually behind them, if not giving them the total cover. The United States is not going to allow UN Security Council to pass any resolution that will bring Israel to an immediate ceasefire or cause any type of limitation. And we see the continued flow of weapons and supplies that is unabated to Israel. So my fear and concern is that the operation in Rafah will lead for massive casualties and massive death with nowhere to go for the Palestinians. And the US administration is basically still walking and hugging and coddling Netanyahu, while the International Court of Justice already says that a plausible genocide is taking place in Gaza. So that's what we are actually looking. On the second front, the fact that Israel have supposedly with an operation released 2 hostages, I do expect Netanyahu to become far more emboldened if such a case actually could still be stated in terms of where he is at, as well as his right-wing pro-settlement cabinet and his war cabinet. I think they will be emboldened. They're going to go up publicly to the Israeli society as well as to the international community to say that we told you that the hostages are being held in these different places, especially right now in Rafah. And therefore, we need to actually go into using far more force and have a full-on military assault on Rafah in order to rescue the hostages. So rather than de-escalating, I'm seeing that Netanyahu, with all along, he does not want the war to stop, and he will escalate in order both to stave off domestic pressure and knowing that the Western world is lining behind him. So the rescue of the 2 hostages is going to be used as a cause belli for further escalations of attacks on the Palestinians in Rafah.
Hatem, appreciate your time and thanks for your views. Hatem Bazian, my guest, Professor of Middle Eastern Cultures and Languages at the University of California.